Greetings, Stars fans, and welcome to the Two Brothers Mic'd Up show for Game 67 against the Ottawa Senators. If you don't know, we'll have a game of NHL going on in the background if you so to choose to watch, while we give our discussions and thoughts on what we just saw in the recent Dallas Stars game for you right here on the internet. As always, we start off with predictions from the last video, so always stick around to the very end. Quinn, you liked a score of 4-2 for Dallas and a score of 3-2 for the Senators. I liked a score of 5-2 for the Stars and a score of 3-1 for the Senators. Stars ultimately win 2-1. Like I said, it's getting harder and harder to try to predict how these games are going to play out. You know, I thought they were going to take a big step, in the right direction of scoring. Maybe Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin finally get off the schneid. But again, they find themselves out on the ice with the goal against. They both finish with a minus in their column. So you could tell that Jamie Benn was getting very, very frustrated in that game. You saw him throwing around at least like 4 water bottles.
It's not the water bottle's fault.
Yeah, it's not the water bottle's fault, but they had 2 shots on goal each, so they had 4 shots on goal. They're just not getting a lot of the chances that they have had. Jamie Benn missing that just wide open net on the power play in the second period. You can tell that it's all in his head, and I think Jamie Benn came out and said that after the game that it has to be 100% mental, because the physical side, he looks good. I mean, he doesn't look like he's hurt or anything like that. There was one game to where he was kind of skating really, really slow, but I mean, when you think about it and it all being in his head, how do you think you get out of it?
You gotta score that goal. I mean, there's no better way to jumpstart yourself than cashing one in when you've been in like a little mini slump of yourself. It's kind of like, what was it, last season, whenever he went like 15 games without scoring a goal or something.
Yeah, I know it was a long stretch. I can't remember the amount of games, but it was pretty long.
He scored the first one, took the monkey off his back, and after that, it seemed like he was back to his regular self, producing, and you see it because, he won the Art Ross. So I think right now, the only thing that they really need to do is just capitalize on that first goal and then let it take over from there.
Now, when you look at Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin, who do you think is going to break out of it first? Now, when you look at Jamie Benn, you can see the frustration in him and everything like that. But when you look at Tyler Seguin, his body language isn't out as, being super frustrated. He's not throwing around water bottles and everything like that. When you look at Tyler Seguin, what do you think's going on with him?
Well, I think Tyler Seguin's more of a calm, collected type person when it comes to hockey. Jamie is he's an emotional player. He plays with the raw emotion. He goes out there, he hits, he loves to score, he loves being the captain, he likes to speak out. But when you get the exact opposite in Tyler, he loves to score, but he's more collected in how he does it. So I kind of think that Seguin will probably be the first one to break out of it. I think he doesn't let it get to him as much as Jamie does. Because, Jamie, as the captain, I think he's feeling a lot of pressure on him to score and start producing and lead this team. So he's dealing with a little bit more than what Tyler is right now.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. It does seem like Seguin is more charismatic off the ice than he is on the ice. I mean, he still has a personality on the ice, but you can definitely tell that Jamie Benn plays a little bit, he does play tougher than Seguin, so that will bring out a little more emotion in him, and you can tell that Jamie's frustrated. Just the way that it seems like Jamie is over trying a lot of the times because you saw a lot of those turnovers. That one, he had a real bad one after they got scored on. But I mean, even when they got scored on, you know, he tried to catch the puck out of the air, couldn't pick it up behind the net, and then ultimately they get scored on. But then he had another play to where he was just trying to chip it out through the air, through the middle of the ice, and it gets picked out of the air. And you can tell, I mean, those are just the plays that Jamie Benn, it would just come off as it's just a natural thing. And that's, whenever you start seeing that type of stuff, you know it's a mental game with Jamie. I think Seguin, how do you think, with Seguin, I don't think it's just mental. I just think he's not getting himself in the chances that he can possibly put himself in. Because, I mean, we're seeing that he's setting up other people, especially with that Richie setup on in the second period, I believe it was, that he just rings a pass over to Richie, and Richie hits the post. I mean, Seguin seems like he's playing better hockey than Jamie. So, but I'm going to bet that it's Jamie that breaks out of it. And with Jamie breaking out of it, I think that will only let Seguin follow the lead, because Jamie is a lead by example type guy. I mean, he's not super outspoken. I'm sure he's very different in the locker room, talking to the guys and everything like that. But I just think that Jamie wants it really, really bad. And I think that that's going to be him breaking out of it, and then Seguin follows lead. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong that, you know, maybe Seguin that gets it, and then Benn, you know, follows along.
Well, I mean, best case scenario, you know, one game, Seguin sets up Benn, then Benn sets up Seguin, you know.
Yeah.
Hopefully they help each other out. But, I mean, like we were talking in the last video right now, it doesn't seem like they're playing good hockey together, so I don't know.
You know what? After watching this game, because you had asked if it was time to, you know, break them up for even just a period, I might be leaning more towards that, of breaking them up to see if they can't, you know, get out of something. You know, let someone take that center role away from Seguin, have him go down. You know what?
I mean, it's a quick fix. I feel like all you need to do is just switch Spezza and Seguin, put Spezza up there with Benn, because, you know, you get the same.
I like the thought of maybe Seguin playing with Janmark and Nichushkin, because, you know, they're playing actually really well. And I like, or maybe moving Seguin, Richie down, Spezza, Janmark up. Have Richie still out there because I don't want a whole line of finesse. So I think Richie could, you know, round out a line with Seguin and Nichushkin, and then have Jamie as the muscle with Spezza and Janmark. I think that would be a pretty good line combination right there. But we see, speaking of line juggling and everything like that, we see Oleksiak get, you know, put into the lineup. How did you think the defense played in this one?
Well, I mean, as for Oleksiak, I mean, you barely saw him out there. I don't even know how many minutes he played, but it just seemed like he was non-existent, except for maybe a little spurt here and there.
Oleksiak had 7 minutes.
So, I mean, I think the defense kind of regressed from the last game. I think they kept them down to 1 goal, but I think this game could have easily been blown out of the water if it was not for Lettinen.
No, I completely agree.
I mean, the one goal that they scored, I mean, how do you not blame the defense on that? You can't put it all on Lettinen. I mean, the guy's all alone in front of the net, center, you know, right in front of the slot. Any decent player that plays in the NHL will pick a corner up top. You know, it's really hard for a goalie.
Zack Smith has 18 goals on the season, so I mean he can score goals, and to leave him all alone like that, for everyone to forget their positioning and, you know, puck watch, it was a bit unacceptable. But I would have like you. We barely even saw Alexiak. I'm not sure why he only got 7 minutes in the game. I think it could have been, stretched out a lot more to make, to give people some time, to try to gel and everything like that. I didn't like that they just went down to 5 defensemen. I mean, let these guys get on the ice. Let Alexiak get out there and throw some hits, and if he needs to, let him get into, send him out there because when the game started getting away from the Stars a little bit, whenever they got scored on, I would have told Alexiak, go out there, get a nice big hit for us, try to bring that momentum back. Because I had written down in my notes that the more the game started going on, the more that Dallas wasn't capitalizing on their chances, Ottawa is going to stick around, and they could steal that game from Dallas, and which they almost did. Let's actually talk about that no goal. Whenever you heard that they were going to the coach's challenge, did you think that anything had been wrong with the play at first?
I mean, you never know anymore. I mean, half the time you're right, half the time you're wrong. I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, it's hard to see it from TV if they're offsides because of the camera view, but I mean, I like to have faith in the coach staff that they're making the right decision.
Yeah. When you saw the replay, did you think they got it right?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you can definitely tell from the slow-mo that his foot's off the ice before the puck crosses the threshold. So I think it was a good challenge.
Yeah. I also agree. It was a great challenge. Something that I would have, like you said, in the audience or at home, I don't think you would have picked up on that, but they always have someone watching that sort of thing. But backing it up a bit, like 30 seconds before, let's talk about the Hammond on Hemsky hit. What were your thoughts on that?
Penalty?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I thought if not interference, I think it could have been an elbowing penalty. I thought, Hammond's arm got way up in Hemsky's face, and his elbow area got up into Hemsky's face, and he completely takes Hemsky out of the play. It's one of those things is that they have. It's a double-edged sword when you talk about goaltenders and the physicality of hockey. Goaltenders are not brought up to know how to take hits or give hits or anything like that, but I still think that if they're out of their crease, if they're, if they want to go behind the net, I honestly think that they should be treated like a player. Hemsky has to watch out for the goalie, but the goalie does not have to watch out for Hemsky. The goalie is free to play Hemsky however he wants, but Hemsky has to try in all efforts to avoid him. I think goalies are too protected. Just like quarterbacks in the NFL, I think everybody is too protected. The goalies have, with the current goalie equipment, and unless they change it in the coming seasons, they are the most protected people on the ice. And for, players to not be able to assert some physicality with Hemsky going through there. I mean, Hemsky should have been able to lower his shoulder when Hammond came out like that to protect him, because potentially, Hemsky could get hurt from something like that. Because he's not expecting that. Nobody's ever expecting the goalie to come out and try to throw a check on you. And the goalie knows that. I think a lot of goalies can play that to a T, especially when they come out to handle it, that they can start to shift their body to where, if they do a little turn, that, the player can't run through them to try to get the puck from them. So I think there should be some kind of rule changing. Not saying that it's an all-out war against goalies when they come out, but I still think there should be allowed some kind of physicality on these players if they're not inside their protected area. If they're in the crease, fine, don't touch them. That's their area. They deserve to be playing in that area. But when you come out of it, I think it's not free range, but let the players be able to touch the goalies and get them out of their way. I didn't like that there wasn't a call on that, and I also liked that the Stars were on top of the play to make sure that it was called offsides when it was. Going to the power play, we see Jason Spezza get his first against Ottawa. He now has won against every NHL team. That is his 24th goal of the season, and like we said in the last video, he's just kind of rolling along. I mean, what have you seen from Spezza in the past couple of weeks?
I mean, he has taken the reins to lead this team right now, with Jamie and Tyler slumping. Not so much. I mean, yeah, they look to him for leadership because he was a former captain, he was former assistant captain, alternate captain, whatever you want to call it. He's a very skilled player that has a lot of leadership, a lot of playoff experience, and I think a lot of the team is kind of looking to him right now, as kind of the pseudo leader in point production, because he's getting it done. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can't say he's not getting it done in the production department, because he is. That whole line, Janmark, Nichushkin, Spezza is the top line for Dallas right now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And then there was the other star that we highlighted in the last video, Brett Ritchie. He finishes only behind Spezza for the most shots in the game. He finished with 3. Spezza had 4. I mean, you expect Spezza to have a good game in Ottawa. But Ritchie, he has those 3 shots, and he has a couple of really good chances. He had that play in the first where he kind of just throws the puck at the net and then just kind of drives through the defense to follow up his chance. That's what I love about Ritchie. I mean, I don't think Ritchie gets sent back down at all. I do
think that he gets sent back down, mainly because they're gonna want to ride their veterans that they have coming back, and Eves and Sharp. So I think you'll have Mullen still scratched, and then you'll have.
I think Ritchie will probably see some scratches. I don't think he sees the lineup every game, but I think he stays up with the big club.
I don't. I mean, you won't have enough space for him.
Yeah.
Because you'll have Mullen, Nemeth, and Alexiak.
Well, yeah, no, you're right.
So you're going to have to send Ritchie and Fox it down, unless you want to try and maybe push Mullen down on waivers to try and get him down.
I might be wrong, but I'm not sure if there's a roster limit now after the trade deadline when someone is called up. I'm not too sure. I think I read that somewhere. That I think Mike Heika was saying something about that, so they could stay up. I'll double check that to see. But again, he had another good game. You noticed him out there. He had that chance, like we were talking earlier in the video, with the Seguin pass, and he hits post. I mean, he comes on his first chance in the first period. I think there could have been an easy hook call on Phaneuf, because if Phaneuf doesn't tie him up the way he does, Ritchie scores. I think Ritchie got a little hot-handed. I mean, he kind of double-clutched a little bit on that second chance, and it hits the post. But all in all, I thought he had a really good game. I'm excited to see more of him. I honestly think that him and Russell. I liked Russell in this game. I think he looks like he's getting a lot more acclimated, and he's starting to get comfortable in his position, because we had said that the way he's shooting the puck and the sense that he has for feeding the offense it looks like he's going to pop one really, really fast.
I mean, if it was my choice right now on who to take into the playoffs, sorry, Mullen, but I would send you down through waivers and take my chances with you trying to get you down to the AHL and keep Richie up. I mean, yeah, like you said, Richie would face his scratches, but there's just something about Richie that this team needs right now. I mean, you're going to get Patrick Eaves back. He's a gritty player, but he's, he doesn't have the same spunk as Richie does right now. Richie's a young, strong body that just crashes the net, doesn't care about anything else except hitting and scoring. The perfect power forward. So I think this team will seriously miss his physicality, since really there isn't any on this team.
Well, some people might say, well, what about Roussel?
Well, Roussel just pisses me off lately. I mean, yeah, he tries to instigate and get people to take penalties against him, but we see him more going in and just hitting somebody for no reason. I mean, just trying to instigate him into retaliating, but then it winds up him getting a penalty, or he does something stupid that just makes the offense come back into our zone. So, I mean, I'm kind of checked out on Roussel right now.
Yeah, I'd like to see a lot more out of his game. It's fantastic that he scored that goal last night, because for some reason Hemsky thought it'd be better to just throw that puck back out to the front. Like, do you even know what he was thinking? Like, I mean, Roussel wasn't even
Dallas
like
Stars
that open.
Dallas Stars in a pod right now. Like, that's. Everybody seems to want to pass the puck instead of shoot. Take an example from Spezza right now, Spezza, I mean, he sees his spot, takes a slap shot, top corner. I mean, goes in.
Yeah.
These, people like Hemsky, Spezza, Jamie, Tyler, they had these elite NHL shots, but they never take them as much as they should.
Yeah.
They all want to be friendly, teammate, and get somebody else a point, but it's playoff time. You don't need to be doing that.
Gotta be selfish, because when you see that play, no one is really open. Roussel's in the front, but there's 2-3 Senators there. Maybe Hemsky, just as soon as he caught that puck, because a player does come diving towards him, maybe he thought that hopefully there's a prayer that Antoine gets it. I mean, it all works out, so I guess it's just comparing apples to oranges right now, since it did work out. But come on, Hemsky, let's get that slam dunk. Don't try to leave it up for chance.
And that's a concerning thing. I mean, people are like, well, it worked out in the end, but that's still something to be concerned about. If our top players that we're expecting to produce are doing that when it matters most, that's something to be concerned about.
Yep. The other concern that I had for this game was just the overall start to the game. It just, we saw in the past 2 weeks that either the Stars start off terrible, or they start off with a fire lit under their ass and they come out just shooting the lights out. But in this game, it's very slowed down. It's very, muddy looking. They get outshot in the first period, but then it kind of they bring it back even. The shot difference was only one shot. They wind up outshooting Ottawa 25-24. But did you have concerns that maybe the way that the Ottawa Senators played against Dallas was the way to play against them, or did you think that just Dallas wasn't capitalizing on a lot of their chances?
Well, unfortunately, I always have concerns when it comes to the first period with the Stars. I mean, I always like to try and remain positive, but these games show us that they're inconsistent in the way that they're going to play their game. And when a team, comes out and is playing fast and hard and is keeping up with the Stars, I mean, it's tough to say whether they're just calling it a game or not.
Yeah. I hope that the Stars really take a look at the tape from this game and try to realize if it was the Ottawa defense or if it was the Ottawa offense that was kind of hampering them up a lot, or if it was just the Stars kind of playing too loose. They weren't as tight as you would like to see them. Hopefully, it's the latter. It might have been more on the Stars' end instead of it being the opposition, because if the opposition sees the tape on that, they might have a chance to know how to play against Dallas. But I think it's more of Dallas not capitalizing on a lot of their chances, because with the Richie chances, he should have had 2. Jamie should have had 1. I mean, the game could have easily have been like one of our predictions of 4-2 or 5-2. So hopefully it wasn't just Ottawa stifling them up, because I thought Ottawa was playing really loose as well. They had some chances. Kari was there again. It seems like he's found his game a bit, and I fully expect him to be in net against Montreal. How did you like Kari's game in this one?
Like I said at the beginning, I mean, it's easily 4-1, 4-2 for the Ottawa Senators. If not for Kari, I mean, he literally kept us in this game.
Now, with the Montreal game coming up, and Kari has another good game, or it's a decent game, but they still come out with a win, when do you think Niemi comes back in?
I mean, I honestly think just until the goalie loses, ride the goaltender. Yeah, sorry, Niemi, we brought you in to do the 1A, 1B, but I mean, when you're stuck in the predicament the Stars are in right now, when you need to start winning games to stay at the top of the leaderboard, you need goaltending. You can't be fumbling around with, this goalie got scored on twice, Niemi got scored on 3 times, let's go with Kari, and then you can't be playing with the numbers. You got to be playing with the wins. If he wins, stick him in the next game. If he loses, bring in the next one. If he loses, bring in Kari again. If he just find the hot goaltender, stick with them.
Yeah, I agree. If he has a good game or if they come out with a win, I think you slot him in with the next game. But that nasty back-to-back that they have against Chicago and St. Louis, if Kari has a good game today, I think Kari gets the first of that. And then you let Niemi go in for the second one. Let Kari rest, and then after that second one, put Kari right back in. I think Kari needs his rest. A lot of people might say, well, he's had a ton of rest for the season. Well, no, the style of hockey that is about to start being played, you need legs, and you need all the conditioning that you can get. He needs rest, and hopefully he's able to get it. Hopefully they play it right. If he comes out and gets like the next 2 wins, I hope they do not play him on the second night of a back-to-back after he played the first one. I hope not. Let's go into the ratings. What kind of ratings did you give this one?
I'd probably have to say a C+. It's a win, but I mean they came out very. I feel they came out very unmotivated to play this game.
It looked like Spezza was
and,
playing.
Yeah, it looked like that line of the Chushkin, Janmark, Spezza, is pretty much carrying the team through the motions through this game. Right up until, they start realizing, we got scored on, now it's time to kick in the gears. So they get the C+ because, it was still a pretty bad game.
I gave it a B- because, it was a low-scoring game. This is the type of game that Dallas needed to play to understand that they don't have to outshoot, and outscore the opponents. They need to learn how to play in these gritty, low-scoring games. I thought Kari was good. I thought Richie was good. Spezza, the best Dallas Stars last night. So I liked a B- out of it. But they did take the first penalty, and that is now 38 games. Just a little stat right there. Let's go into the Montreal game that's for tomorrow. What kind of predictions do you got for that one?
Well, hopefully Carey Price doesn't make a surprise comeback, so hopefully he's still out with his injury. You know, I mean, we've played good against Montreal. I think it'll be 3-2 if Dallas wins, and then I think it'll be 3-2 if Montreal wins. Montreal's in kind of a slump, but you know, when we play teams in slumps, they usually come out with their best.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think I like a score of 4-3 for Dallas and a 3-1 score for Montreal. I think it'll be a good goaltending, good defense style, but Montreal is on the downslide. You know, they have not had a good couple of games in the past week. Hopefully the Stars are able to capitalize on that, but remember, still an NHL team. This is one that you have to show up for, so if they don't take it lightly, I think they pull out the win. And with that, that is the discussion. Be sure to subscribe, share the video if you'd like, hit that like button down below, leave any kind of feedback down below. You know, with that helps show us what we should work on, what you liked, what you didn't like. You know, without y'all, we can't grow. This is a show for fans, by fans, so always remember that. And as always, tune in next time.